Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael.
And I'm Molly.
And happy Super Bowl Sunday, everyone, if you're listening to this the day that we release it. And we are here today to talk our Summer House Season 10 premiere, taking a little detour from our usual Traders coverage over the last few weeks to talk about one of our favorite shows on Bravo. And to help us out is I believe, a newer Bravo fan, but somebody who I'm very excited to get into this. Someone who I mostly hear talk about competition shows, but excited to get his Bravo takes as well from the Free Agents podcast and the Diary Room podcast. It's our friend Matt Liguori. Matt, how are you?
I'm so good. Thank you guys for having me. I do wonder how long I hang on to that new Bravo fan title rather than just dropping that. And I am just a Bravo fan now, and I'm not putting that on you. I don't know. I mean, I still feel newer than a lot of other Bravo fans, but I'm sure that there's people that have jumped on to some of these shows more recently than I have. But maybe we're all just new. I don't know. It's been a couple
Yeah.
of years that I've been in on Summer House though, so I'm feeling like just like West and Jesse are kind of like no longer like the new guys. I'm like hoping that I'm no longer just the new guy.
Yeah, no, that I'll give you that title of just
Thank
Bravo
you.
fan. I think that after a couple years we can take the new off of that.
Yes.
But so you were on with us almost exactly a year ago. I believe
Mhm.
last week was a year ago, which is wild. But since then, you've had quite a big year. You got married to your now husband, Jonathan. And how's married life going? What else is new since
It's
you were last
good.
on?
It's I would say not a whole lot different. Especially when you're already living together beforehand. So things are good. Everything is good. Podcasts and everything are going well. As I think Michael, we're coming to the end of round one on the diary room, so we're kind of moving a lot of pieces around the board, trying to get everything settled down over there. And Scally and I have got a lot going on with our challenge rewatch and the trader season, which is obviously insane. This season is I'd say like unique in a lot of different aspects, and navigating how we feel and everybody else feels about it has been interesting, but just overall all things are good.
Great. Well, now we mentioned your Bravo binge. So, what was the inspiration behind you starting Bravo? Because I know you've been a competition show fan for many years. So, what was the impetus behind starting in this big Bravo world that has so many seasons, so many shows? What got you started on that?
The traders, it would
Ah,
straight up was the traders. It was after the second season of the traders. I was like, there are a lot of housewives here, and just Bravo in general. Obviously Kyle, we're about to talk about him, is on season one of the traders, and I was just like, I think I operate watching TV like in on my own time in big binges. Like when I binged Big Brother for the first time after I started watching it with season 16, I binged the whole show. When I binged Big Brother Canada, when I binged the challenge before I had seen the entirety of the franchise, just like I always do big binges. And so I was like, all right, well, Bravo, certain shows are going to be my first big binges, and I consulted Scally and Brian and Allie and people who had been in the universe for a bit, and all of them said you have to start with Vanderpump, so that's where I went first. I think Summer House was right after that because it was like, all right, similar vibes to an extent, and then it was like, all right, well, Housewives, am I doing this even though there's so many franchises? And I did. Granted, I watched them very sped up, like 1.5, 6, 7, depending on what's going on. A lot of like cast trips on like a housewives, like when they're like going horseback riding. I'm like, I can skip this, there's nothing happening here, to just kind of like get the highlights of what's going on. But yeah, it's been a couple years long journey, and I'm so happy to be here now doing just being aware of what goes on in the Bravoverse, because it's like, all right, reality TV, our CBS shows, MTV, maybe MTV is like the biggest example of like on the challenge, you get the consistent storylines throughout the years. CBS, you have to hope that they have returning seasons every so often to get that. But Bravo, it's every season. It's a couple of change ups in the cast, but they could always come back. So it's just a very intriguing company or production group to watch, as they show their lives for years and years and years.
yeah, it's such a different world, I feel like, from the CBS MTV world. And it's something that we see on traders. And that's why I think it's so fascinating to a lot of people like me who have been in both worlds for a
Mm-hmm.
very long time to see, like, I can't believe that we're watching like Portia and Rob Sesternino
Yeah,
interact. Like, who would have ever thought? And you just a lot of fans, I feel like, only know one half of like one of those worlds and not the other. And but for someone, I'm sure it's so much more enjoyable to watch Traders now and to get excited
it
when the
is.
cast gets released
It is. I
when you
mean, I
know ninety
yeah.
percent of them.
I love to like get together with like Scally and Puya on the draft that we do, and I'm like, well, I'm happy to fill in all the gaps. If anybody that we don't know, I just love knowing everybody, and it's not just because like, oh, I want to know all the information. Like, I'm just like, this is so cool. Like you said, Portia and Robin, the same. It's just it's wild. It's such a fun group of people, and it's not impossible to catch up on, and for anybody else out there to also know everybody going into these trader seasons. Traders isn't going anywhere. So, you got plenty of time to catch up and know the people that are going to be on season 8 if it takes you that long.
For sure. So where does Summer House do you feel like rank for you in all the Bravo shows that you've watched?
Such a complicated question because in general, it's got to be pretty high up there. I mean, it's people that are like, I guess a little bit more relatable in the sense that they're like, our age and they're not housewives. I'm not a housewife. I can't, totally relate to that. I can just watch them and enjoy the drama. But it's just like a bunch of, young people living in a house, and maybe some of those young people are getting a little bit older. And that's what's making the question complicated because it's like, well, is this still working? There are still so many people on the show that I want to see, that I want to hear from. I don't want to disappear from my TV screen, but my main pitch for Summer House, which turns out is exactly what they've done, is they need to take the older people on the show, older, I'm making air quotes, and move them on to a new project that we can still follow their lives. Vanderpump did it with the Valley, and it's worked out very well. Now, granted, I don't know if everybody would go or just some people. So far, it seems like this new spinoff is only going to have some people, but I'm ready to watch that and see what those some people do on a show that's not just about partying in a summer house. I'm still open to the idea of Summer House. I mean, I think that there's still plenty of people here, so many newbies that I'm sure we'll talk about, that, can carry on Summer House if they keep going without the OGs, but it's in a weird spot right now.
Yeah, it's very similar, I feel like, to where Vanderpump was around the same time. Because if you remember, season 8 of Vanderpump Rules was when they brought in like all of
Mm-hmm.
these newbies, and it didn't work. It all fell flat.
Yeah.
But I feel like then season around right after season 10 of Vanderpump was when it actually they pulled the plug because of all Scandival and everything that was
Yeah.
happening at that time, and then they actually greenlit the Valley and all of that, and that aired in conjunction with season 11. So
Yeah.
we're kind of at that same point, but I feel like we're in a better spot than Vanderpump was because they're bringing in newbies while the OGs are still around. And so we don't have to have a complete reboot, hopefully, like Vanderpump did.
Yeah, a little tough for them that they bring in two newbies last season and neither of them return. And they put
Yeah.
3 seasons of investment in a Gabby, and it's like I couldn't tell you one thing that she did on the show, and she's not here anymore. So that's kind of tough for like the future of their casting. Like the obvious big hits that they've had are West and Jesse. Like those are great, perfect casting. And again, they could carry on the show for a long time if that needs to be the case. But you got to have some of these newbies start to stick, and who knows how much time they'll have to stick with the main cast running rampant, the breakup and everything, and it's messy.
It is. Well, then let's get started on this premiere here. Molly, what were your overall thoughts on season 10 premiere?
Yeah, I feel like overall I really enjoyed the premiere. It was fun to see just all the different aspects of we got to see a little bit more of the downfall, I guess you could say, of what's going to happen with Kyle and Amanda. So it was interesting to see that just right off the bat how much they really didn't seem to like each other. And I feel like obviously Jesse and Wes are always fun to see, and it's interesting now to see that Sierra and Wes seem to hopefully maybe rekindle a little bit this summer. So I'm glad it won't just be like Sierra's just gonna cold shoulder him the whole summer. So I'm excited to see that throughout this season. But I thought overall we got pretty like important updates of people's lives too, which was good to see just overall like how they're doing and just their like this season. It really has a lot of potential. So I'm excited.
Yeah, Matt, I thought this was a really good premiere. It felt fresh to me. Like it felt like there was, I don't know, this is probably just me that noticed this, but like the graphics are new. It felt like even like the confessional backdrops when they were in the city. I noticed were new from what they've had since season one. So it felt like we're really entering a new era here.
The front door opens now.
Yeah, look
That
at
was
I know, I
that.
saw some outrage about that, that they fixed it. I mean, that was part of the charm of the house.
It
But now
was.
that it's fixed and West is looking a little silly when he walks in, he's like, oh, the door, you just got to push it. Actually, no, it works great. But yeah, I guess they're putting a little bit of investment into, making things feel fresh and new. And I understand that for sure. I mean, you want to keep people invested. And there was a big change in the cast. Of course, Paige is no longer here. And not that that's like, enough to bring the show down. It's a big hit. She's been around for a long time. And so they even give her some airtime in this episode where, they're auditioning to be, the new Paige. Yeah, just sitting in
yeah.
bed, being on your phone, being, what is it, a bed bug?
But
Um,
yeah.
Yes.
so yeah, there's definitely parts of the cast and even the premiere that I guess had me a little scratching my head along the lines of like, where the hell is Lindsay? I'm really starting to ask myself, why is Carl still here? So like some of those questions do remain, but overall, I do agree that the vibes were pretty high. The production, everything was looking good, and the drama is obviously this is the season of the Amanda and Kyle breakup. So where's it going to go? Well, we know where it goes, but how's it going to get there?
Yes. Well, on that note, about 3 weeks ago, Kyle and Amanda announced that they were separating after 4 years of marriage. Matt, I mean, there's been rumors floating around for a while now that they were living apart. They had kind of jokingly responded to those
Yeah.
rumors, Amanda getting out of her little dog house or whatever. But what was your initial reaction to learning about that news? Was there any surprise or was it kind of a long time coming?
I thought it was very interesting the way that she explained at the end of the episode, talking to Sierra about like, I don't know if this is what I'm feeling or if this is what the internet is feeling, because anybody on the internet or anybody, whatever, that's been watching this show for the past couple of seasons has been wondering how this couple is still together. I think is fair to say. Obviously, correct me if you guys feel differently, but it's just been, you know, consistently them at each other's necks and not seeming like just happy in love and a lot of resentment towards one another. And I generally can chalk that up to like, okay, maybe they're amping it up a little bit for the sake of like, what else do we have on this show besides giving them a little bit of our drama and our couple drama? But then just like as it would go on over the course of the years, it was like, well, no, it does seem a little bit more like maybe these two just are falling out of love. I don't know if it's that or just again the resentment that they have towards one another based on the little things, and some of the little things are becoming bigger things. And Kyle staying out all the time in the DJ career, and Amanda's got a comment about everything. It's like I'm sure that there is a deep love for each other there, which, I think today they seem like they are still friendly enough and they're able to be in the same room and they've had conversations with one another. But just like the idea of spending your every day with this person and being married and in love and everything like that just seems like it wasn't the case for them anymore. And it probably has been trending in that direction for a long time as we've watched.
Yeah. Molly, do you feel like if you were to watch this season without that news having broken, would you feel like this is a couple that's about to break up?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm glad that we did get that, like the information that they have split now before the season aired. Because if they hadn't shared that and we're watching this, like everyone would be like, "Oh my gosh, like there's no way they could
Mm-hmm.
still be together after this." And then it would happen then after filming, of course, or like all this stuff. I mean, it still would happen after filming, but like then people would know about it after the season more. But I think, yeah, it's sad to see, but it's also like it makes sense just because of course the lifestyles are so different, and I think that Amanda deserves way better. So I think that it's obviously good to know that they are split up now, and seeing this back, it's a little bit easier to watch in a way because it's like at least we know like they're happier being apart now.
Yeah.
I feel like Amanda's glow up is going to be
Yeah.
so good. I'm so excited. And I feel like we're not going to see it on In the City because I don't think they had, well, maybe in real time they had broken up at that
Yeah, I
point
don't
when
know.
filming that. Because I think that Amanda said, and I don't, it was at Watch What Happens Live where she said that they had broken up right before BravoCon is when they had separated. So that was in November. And I guess in the city, I think it had stopped filming. So I think maybe like towards the end of filming, but I guess it'll be Summer House or in the city season next season when we'll see post breakup Amanda, which I'm
Yeah.
excited to see.
I mean, we saw a little bit of, I feel like even in this episode, we're starting to see a little bit of her letting loose. Obviously, like she gets in the pool at the end of the episode. That's the big cliffhanger of like,
Yeah.
she's not completely topless, but like, there's a little exposed there, and Kyle's freaking out about it. But like, just her jumping in the pool in that way and like being willing to be as exposed as she was or whatever, was like giving a little bit of like, F it, I don't care anymore. And so like that just feels like the start.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, let's get into some of our newbies here, because the season starts as all seasons do with the cast driving from the city to the Hamptons for their first weekend of the summer. And Amanda decides to drive with Sierra instead of Kyle, which maybe is our first little sign there. Something was off. But we pick up two of the new girls, Bailey and Levi. Molly, what did you think of those two, our first two newbies here?
I thought that they were fun. I liked from my first impression of them. I thought that it was nice to see them how close of friends that they are. That like that can help them throughout the summer. I think just having someone you really trust there, and can confide in and talk to, like having a good friend is obviously a benefit in terms of like with Jesse and Wes. I mean, they didn't know each other before, but like they're kind of like a duo. Like it's good to have like a duo in the show. And so I think with them, like I hope that they continue their close friendship throughout. I don't think they're gonna have a falling out, but like in general, I think that they're fun to watch. And so far, I'm excited to see what they can bring to the summer.
Yeah, Matt, I feel like we get kind of two types of newbies on these shows where it's like you either have people who are organically connected to the cast,
Mm-hmm.
and in this case, it doesn't seem like they are, but they're organically connected to each other. So do you feel like that is a positive because they have each other that they can kind of rely on, or maybe it's a negative because they don't feel as if they need to ingratiate themselves with the existing cast?
I guess I'm not surprised that they went that route because again, last season's two newbies were both like individuals. But granted, Lexi had her friend who I think was also Bailey, right?
Oh, yeah, Bailey. It's
Yeah,
spelled
that Bailey
differently, but it was
who
Bailey, yeah.
was
Yeah.
there for like a minute and then wasn't.
Mhm.
So like they I think went half in last season by making that other girl a friend of, but I think also maybe there was more complications of like she wasn't supposed to be a friend of at the beginning, and then they
Yeah,
took away her status or something like that.
it
Either
was,
way,
yeah.
obviously it didn't work out. And so this season, I guess they were very much hoping to have it work out much better and have two people come in that know each other. Like you said, they can kind of lean on each other. I will say, like through this one episode, Levi, what are we doing? Just nothing at all. Bailey at least was like a little bit more energetic. Her crying at the table was hysterical.
Yeah.
Just like breaking down about her ex and her this, her that, and everyone's like, is she okay? So that's one way to introduce yourself. And I don't know, just like watching them, first of all, the bedroom was crazy as well.
Oh my God.
They were originally, it sounded like planning on sharing a bed, so I guess they just never gave up that idea. And so when they get a room
True.
that has two beds, they're like, oh great, one bed that we can put all of our stuff on, and then the other bed that we can sleep in, which then prompted problems because I think it was Bailey that was like, oh, I sleep naked, and then Levi's like, no you don't, not in this bed. So I'm like, Levi is really scaring me. I'm like, are you gonna have any fun this summer? At least Bailey again just seemed a little bit more open.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That not the sweet green. I mean, that was crazy. We'll get into that. We'll
Mm.
get into that when it comes. But that was a wild introduction to Bailey. But yeah, I feel like Bailey. You know what's funny is that Levi to me looks like Paige, but Bailey has the personality more so of Paige. It's like
Yeah, I can see
if
it.
you separate them into two different people. But yeah, I think that they're better than Lexi. If anything, I feel like Lexi was just such a miss in casting on that show. She felt like to me more like a Vanderpump Rules cast member thrown into Summer House, and these two at least feel more like Summer House cast members that I can see growing on this show. So
Yeah.
we will see.
Yeah,
But then
Lexi, I
we
think
get to
they thought was like Lala. They were like, oh, this is
right.
just they tried to do like a little bit of a one to one, and it didn't really work.
Yeah, no, it did not. But then we get our third new cast member here, our first male cast member, KJ. Matt, what did you think? What was your first impression of KJ?
I hate to say it, but again, like, what are we doing? Like, is this guy gonna anything? I skate. I'm a skateboarder. Okay. And what else? We got a little bit of him later in the episode where he's talking to West about how he was kind of being a little bit more reserved because he's got anxiety and whatnot. Look, I get it, but I'm not on a reality TV show where like it's like it felt like we jumped to like mid-season to, like story. It was like, oh, maybe I'm having a tough time this season so far, but it was just right out of the gate he was having a
Yeah.
tough time. And I was just like, I don't know, I feel like I haven't gotten to know you at all. He had a good amount of like confessional time to try to introduce himself to us, but it wasn't really landing for me so far. We'll see how he mixes it up with the rest of the cast over the course of the season. It's obviously only episode 1, but so far I wasn't like, oh, we're here, we're doing it.
Yeah, Molly, I wonder if they were trying to like give West a new bestie so that maybe there could be some drama between West and Jesse and a little jealousy on Jesse's part. I don't know. You think maybe that's what they were going for a bit?
Yeah, I don't know. It was interesting 'cause I feel like he hasn't really shown us that much yet, as you're saying, Matt. Like he had the chances to, and like I don't really remember a ton. Like besides the anxiety conversation, like I don't know what else he said. Like like and then the
Mhm.
skateboarding. But I don't know. I feel like we'll see how he mingles, but I just don't know if he's gonna last. I think, or in general, like for longevity, like I don't see him going past this season.
It
Yeah.
kind of feels like, and granted, we haven't met two of them yet, two of the newbies. But
Yeah.
it kind of feels like they just said we want a lot of newbies this season. Interviewed as many people as they did, and said let's take the best 6. And just because they picked the best 6 doesn't mean that these are like the answers to the show, but it just could be the best people that they came across. And I don't know if that, again, if they're going to be the answer, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even if 3 of them work out, then I think we're in a good spot going into next season where we can, and again, we'll get into this a little later, but like assuming a few of the OGs are going to move over to In the City full time, if that show works out, then if we have like Sierra and West and Jesse staying on Summer House, and then we have like 3 of these newbies and then a couple newbies next season, then I think we're in a pretty good spot where there's like enough familiarity, but the show still feels new and we can kind of start to enter that new era without having to feel like it's a complete reboot. So I feel like they're kind of hoping that at least about half of them work out.
That would be, yeah, I would imagine. If that's going to be the case, we'll see. We've still got 2 more to meet. So
Exactly. Well, then everyone gets to the house and they all greet each other. And Sierra and Kyle get into like a little bit of a mini feud, I guess you could call it, about the Sierra wanting the boys to bring the luggage in from the girls' car. Molly, here Sierra mentions that it's hard for her to act like everything's fine around Kyle since she had heard so much from Amanda about how he's been treating her. What do you think is the best way for Sierra to handle that situation? It kind of feels like she's going a little bit of a passive aggressive approach so far. But what do you think she should do here?
I mean, I think it's good that she's not really trying to get in the middle of it. Like she's just like, okay, like of course she's gonna be on Amanda's side, but she also has to be around Kyle in the house and like they're living in the same place in the summer. So I think like she is handling it the best she could at this point. Like I think that she's just like over it. Also, like she sees Amanda being over him and she's just like, I'm over him, but I also have to be around him. And so she's just I think trying to not cause any huge issues, but like can like bicker here and there.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, Matt, I can see Amanda being venting to Sierra every day, hours on end, and yeah, like I can't even imagine then having to know like, oh, I have to spend all every weekend for this whole summer with this guy who I've heard so much crap about from his wife.
they were in the car ride together, and I think that they probably got a good amount of talking in before the other 2 new girls came into the car, and maybe even still with them in the car they talked a little bit. They were doing a little let me get to know you. So maybe she didn't open up as much of like, oh yeah, like I'm really just over my husband right now. But yeah, I mean, what do you do when you're Sierra in that kind of spot, or anybody in that spot? Like, this guy is clearly not treating her the best, or whatever the situation is, I mean, like Sierra's getting a lot of like just Amanda's perspective, and I don't know, I'm not in this couple to know like who's right and who's wrong and who's picking on what and all of this stuff. I see a lot of places where Kyle's wrong, but I'm sure there's a lot going on between the two of them. So yeah, I mean, how do you act around that guy? Like, you're going to be annoyed on Amanda's behalf. You can't say, hey, you guys stay apart, break up. Like, that's not a thing. So it's just like, I've heard a lot of shit, and I am going to proceed with caution about being like your best friend this summer.
Right. Yeah. I feel like that's all you can do is just like, okay, I'm not going to pick fights with you all summer. I'm not going to, make both of our lives a living hell, but like, let's keep a little bit of distance here. I'm obviously going to be fully Team Amanda, and I think you know that. So let's just kind of be
Yeah.
cordial and be around each other when we have group events.
And start off, just get my bags out of the car, and then that's
Right.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it was already starting off by not wanting to do that, not on the best foot. First year.
Yeah, it's such a classic Kyle like day one meltdown. I remember like even what whole started Giggly Squad was Paige and Hannah like giggling at the table at their first dinner, and Kyle has a meltdown, and then
Mhm.
like the next season Kyle has a meltdown about Hannah not taking the trash out. Like it's such a classic thing that Kyle just kind of gets too wound up about at a very small little thing. But
See, Hannah's making some headlines today.
oh yeah, ugh, that's.
Very glad Paige, dumped this show to go, start this career, co-hosting this podcast with this incredible person. Not.
Yeah.
We don't have to get too
That's
into it if you don't want to, but it was
no,
just
yeah.
that
I
was on
for
my
anyone who
timeline this
doesn't know,
morning.
yeah. Hannah made a joke at one of her stand-up shows about calling ice on her mother, father. What was it?
Husband, I think.
Husband. Oh yeah, it was Des. Yeah. And it did not land well. Apparently, a lot of people walked out and left early, and yeah, making some headlines today.
Yep.
So, no, I hope that Paige can maybe slowly start to, because I feel like they're so intertwined together, and that's hard. Like,
I
how do
mean,
you just like get but
look at who Paige was dating for, years and years and years. So she
true.
doesn't have the best picker for friends or significant others. That's pretty clear.
That's very true. Very, very true. Well, on a different note, Sierra and Jesse have a conversation, and he asks her about West and if she thinks she can get back on friendly terms with him. Now, she says she's not sure, but she does seem more open to it than she was last summer for sure. So, Matt, now I feel like there's a big subset of the fandom. One half that ships Sierra and West. And then there's a group I feel like after last season, especially, that also kind of ships Sierra with Jesse. Are you in either of those camps, or what do you hope for Sierra this summer?
I would go Sierra and Jesse over Sierra and West.
Interesting.
West is just he's a silly, goofy guy, and I don't know, kind of had a bit of a glow up in the past year. I feel like he looks a little different here. He's got a different bit of confidence to him this season. So I'm like paying a little bit more attention to him, but like I feel like I generally see him as like this goofball, and I don't see myself shipping Sierra with a goofball. I want to see her with someone. And granted, Jesse is also a goofball, but I feel like he can turn it off a little bit more. So I don't know. Just overall, if I had to pick, it would be Jesse, but I don't think Sierra's, future husband is in the summer house, just like, others have thought that they have found.
Yeah, I agree. I don't, Molly. I don't feel like after everything Sarah has been through with Austin, with Wes, like I don't see her actively trying to be in a relationship with anyone else in this house anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just the best route to stay friends with them and then find her boyfriend elsewhere.
Yeah. Because I feel like it's good to not be on bad terms. Like, I feel like what you don't want to happen is an Ariana and Tom situation where they just, understandably, she would not film with him, would not be in the same room as him, would not be cordial with him. And that basically ended Vanderpump Rules as we knew it. And I'm glad, obviously, we also had that potential with Lindsay and Carl, but they seem to be pretty good now. So I'm glad that in all of these cases, all these relationships, it does seem like here that they are able to move on and move forward at the very least.
Yeah. As of now, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? But then we get to the first family dinner, and we talked a little bit about this, but we learn more about Levi and Bailey here. We learned that Levi just got out of a 12-year relationship, which I do worry a bit that I don't know that Levi is quite ready then to really start uh dating in this
Hmm.
house, and that worries me that maybe she'll then be a little bit of a forgotten cast member here, but we'll see. But then the real story here is Bailey being broken up with the Sweet Green, and that story we hear all about how he had his luggage outside, which I mean, just was he leaving his luggage like outside in the streets of New York City? Like, how did that not get stolen? First
Yeah,
of all,
I mean, maybe he just found a good hiding spot. I don't. I don't.
that was wild to me. But then, yeah, she asked Kyle then about his DJ career. So then we really
Mhm.
switch over to talking about Amanda and Kyle's relationship. And Amanda said that it started because she wanted to start her own company, her swimsuit line, and Kyle got upset and started DJing despite her, basically. So Molly, from what you remember of that, was Amanda right about this? Do you think she has a right to be upset about it, or was she misrepresenting history at all?
I think she definitely has a right to be upset. I think obviously DJing is a lot different than starting a swimsuit line. And like he was like being a DJ is meaning that he's gonna be out partying, and Amanda's not into that and doesn't stay out late, and just that whole atmosphere of his life is just so different than in general like what she was expecting for their marriage. And I think that obviously has caused a lot of resentment there between the two of them. And it's obviously like still not being like addressed upon. Like if Kyle's still wanting to be a DJ, he's not trying to stop anytime soon, then like not great for Amanda if she's not happy about it. So I think she's definitely right to be upset about it.
Yeah, I mean, Matt, it feels like she knew how much it bothered Amanda that he was out late talking with girls and fans and everything, and that's just not her style, not what she wants in a husband. And then he went and found a career where that is exactly what he does every single night almost.
I think my take has to ultimately be, and I think this just hit me a second ago, that like they're not having relationship problems because of his DJing career. I think it's certainly contributing to like, the fact that they don't spend a lot of time together, or this and that, but like there's got to be more, there's more going on that, because like at the end of the day a supportive partner is going to support you if you have found something that makes you happy, and if you're doing it well and responsibly. And granted, there's like the rumor of Kyle falling asleep on a fan's couch, or like I don't know what the details were there. Obviously the headline of that story doesn't sound great. I don't think the rumors were that he slept with someone at, slept with a fan or anything like that. But I mean, this is what's wrong with this as a career in general. If it's something that's working out for him, it's like, the same thing that any famous person in his exact level of fame can do, to just keep getting booked and to keep busy in between seasons. He's filming Summer House in the summer, and then the rest of the year he's going to clubs and standing behind a DJ set and playing music all night, and everyone is paying good money to come see him, because you want to go out anyway, you want to go out and party, and let's go out and party where Kyle Cook is DJing, and of course it works out. So I think I have no issue with the fact that he took this up like in his own life. Again, I think that there's just got to be more for the two of them, that is not clicking, and it's obviously maybe contributed towards it because he's not home as much. But if they wanted to make it work, and I'm putting this probably on both of them, it's a career. I don't think he's doing anything wrong by deciding to DJ.
Yeah. I think what's weird about this breakup is that I actually still like both of them. And I feel like that doesn't happen very often in Bravo breakups. Like, I've always had a soft spot for Kyle for some reason. And I don't know why it is, but like, I just don't think that he's a bad guy. I just think they're so different. And they
Yeah.
like Amanda was so young, especially when they first started dating and before season one of Summer House, that like I think that at that time they were both probably a lot more just like, yeah, let's go out and party and do whatever. And now they've kind of realized like, ooh, we have very different personalities, very different lifestyles, and it just doesn't work out. And I think you're right, Matt, that like the fact that she's already numb to it shows that like this started way before. This started with the
Yeah.
cheating rumors way back in like season 3 and all that stuff that happened. And I just think at this point it was like, yeah, this was the last straw.
Yeah, it's on top of everything else that we've had going on. Well, he's also never home.
Right.
So but
Yeah.
it's easy to understand, that he through this DJ story. And again, I'm sure it has something to do with it. It's just like you said, it's been going on for a while that we've had concerns about them.
Yeah. Well, then she also mentioned this, which I think you brought up a little bit earlier, Matt, that like she wasn't sure if these thoughts that she's having about wanting to leave him were her own thoughts or whether the fans, the audience's tweets and comments and messages and everything have gotten into her head. And I think this is so interesting because this is something we see a lot in reality TV where people will go on, they'll film a season, they will see the response to it back from
Mhm.
the fans, and then they will act differently in their next season based on the fans' response, whether that's intentionally, unintentionally, just kind of subconsciously got into their heads, the fans' reactions, and they become a completely different person. And I don't know that we've ever seen someone quite articulate it, though, like we did with Amanda here, where it was like, clearly not intentional, but just saying, like, I don't know whether my, like, I don't know, I want to say hatred for Kyle, but like my wanting to leave him is something that he has actually done, and this is something that I am feeling, or whether the fans have just gotten into my head here. So, Matt? What did you think about her saying this?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. It's very clearly like she's feeling this way, and that's why the fans are telling her that they think that they don't belong together, or that there's clearly problems, and that they're going to get divorced someday because of everything that we have seen. At the end of the day, reality TV, you're putting your lives out there for everyone to see, and like look at Housewives. Look at how many housewives get divorced over the years. Granted, it's not just like, oh, because it's not they don't get divorced just because they go on Housewives and you're manufacturing drama. It's like, well, the biggest and the best and then the worst parts of you and your relationship and your friendships all get shown when you're under the magnifying glass of a TV show. And like, for anyone out there, for any of us, like, think of you and your friends. There could be somebody that you like have like a little bit of like this towards that or whatever, and if you're filming a TV show that's all about like living your life and airing those things out and not holding back when you feel a certain type of way, that things are going to explode at any given time. So it's, I think, very clear that the fans have been feeling a type of way, but it's also very clear that Amanda's been feeling a type of way. So it does feel like maybe at the point that we're seeing her at in this episode is her realizing, or she's in this stage of feeling like, I know what the next step might be, but I really don't want it to be that, because that is a big change in life. So it's hard to accept that that could be the new reality for herself or for them. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision to come to. But so you throw a couple of like things out there. Well, maybe it's not our marriage. Maybe it's just the internet. It's not just the internet. Deep down, you know what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
Molly, what did you think?
Yeah, it was really interesting to hear her talking about that. Of course, obviously we see all the things in social media and then having her like really kind of take note of it and really obviously she's feeling it herself, but then having kind of I guess the validation of the fans and also just reinforcing that message in her head of it, like if that's what she's seeing on when she's scrolling on TikTok of everyone being like, why is Amanda with Kyle? Like obviously that's going to get in her day-to-day thoughts and why am I still with this person kind of in general, like should I be, like it's going to obviously cause those strains there. So I feel for her in that obviously she's broadcasting her life to the masses here and everyone has an opinion on it and she can have her own opinion as well, but she's obviously taking into account what everyone else is seeing.
Do you think
Yeah.
they cast Levi just for Amanda? Like, hey, girl that was in a 12-year
Oh
relationship,
yeah.
come tell Amanda how it feels to get out of that.
Maybe.
Yeah, that's hey, I'm sure it's nice for her to have somebody like that she can maybe understand a little bit about what she's going through.
I wouldn't be
I
surprised to see
wonder,
a
yeah.
sit down there. Yeah.
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 But I think you're right, Molly, that like I think that Amanda is probably, I feel like just from watching her for 10 years, that she is the type of person who's very, I don't want to say insecure, but like probably questioning like a big decision like this a lot of whether it's she's making the right decision, whether maybe she's in the wrong, maybe she's overreacting. Like I could see Amanda like getting into her head a lot. And so having the backing of the viewers, I feel like probably gave her the confidence to know like, oh no, they're all seeing what I'm seeing
Yeah.
and this is the right decision. So Well, let's get into then the next morning. So we meet another new housemate, Ben. He is Australian. He was on The Bachelor Australia, which I have not seen. I don't know if either of y'all have, but
Nope.
very good looking. I can see why he was cast on there. Apparently, he was one of three, which I thought was very interesting. I guess
Yeah.
that's like they do it differently in
I
Australia.
would like
But
that more often, with the Bachelor season. It's like, you're telling me that all 25 of these people are here because they specifically like this lead. Like, if there were multiple leads, when they did that, I didn't think they did it well when they did the split season. That was Gabby and
okay, Gabby
Rachel,
and Rachel,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that there could be something to that. Like, the idea
Mhm.
of when you're trying to match people up, Love Island style, like, you're not just going to guarantee that everyone likes the one lead. But look, I know The Bachelor's been going for a long time and they can figure out their own production, but I like the idea.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean they're doing new things now. Taylor Frankie Paul's The Bachelorette. They're going outside the franchise now, so maybe they'll start doing different things like that. But
Yeah.
we'll see. But Molly, he met Kyle and Amanda at a wedding last year, and she skinny dipped. Amanda skinny dipped with Ben at this wedding. So what was your first impression of Ben, first of all, and did you sense any sparks between him and Amanda now that she's single?
Well, it was interesting because I hadn't seen Ben before either, but also I thought he added some freshness to this cast. I think that, I mean, also the fact that there was a a little moment, I guess you could say, of skinny. I mean, it wasn't just the two of them, but like at the wedding, having them already have a little bit of a past there, then allows for them to like him to kind of more seamlessly integrate, and they can have kind of jokes. And obviously Kyle didn't seem so happy about hearing about those jokes, and so that's also gonna, I think, put some conversation, more serious conversations with Amanda and Kyle about that throughout the season, with Ben being there, obviously. Amanda being a little flirty maybe towards it. I mean, not like flirty, but like more playful. I think that could that also make her think, okay, why am I still with Kyle in some regards? But I think that Ben will be exciting to see throughout the season, hoping that he also gets along with everyone else, like not just him and Amanda talking, but like the rest of the cast too.
Mhm. Yeah, Matt, I wonder if, because I feel like we talk about like Sierra kind of having a couple options in the house here, but Amanda, now that she's single, I mean, we've seen Amanda with Jesse. They have a very flirty relationship. Now it feels like maybe there's something with her and Ben. Do you think that there is any potential for Amanda to potentially be with anyone else on the Summer House cast except Kyle?
Well, not this season for sure. We
Yeah.
know, like we know that they, things don't play out. By the end of the season, we'll have seen, I guess, the breakup. Will probably be the final episode. But like in the future, I mean, I guess I don't know Ben well enough. But it does feel like, in another world, any of these people could be linked up in one way or another. It feels like there's just like an everlasting, like honestly, like sexual tension between so many of them that are just like, look, they're hot young people on a reality show that like, spend a lot of time together. And it feels like a lot of them have a barrier up because they're coworkers or because they're just friends. But you see, like when a Lindsay and Carl finally say, well, why don't we shatter that, barrier and try it out? That one didn't work, but I would not be surprised if it worked out with, Amanda and say a Jesse, or I don't know anything about Ben, but maybe, why not?
Who knows?
It's
Yeah.
not Kyle.
Yeah. That's so interesting. I feel like I never thought about that. And like, look, maybe this is crazy to say based on what happened on Vanderpump Rules, but like, I never saw that with that cast where like, I don't think I could never see like Katie Maloney after breaking up with Tom Schwartz dating anyone else on the Vanderpump Rules cast.
Well, that was a
After
group of
Ariana,
hatred. There were people that just like did not like each other. There were insane people there. Jax Taylor, like it's just like that's a little, I feel like a little like they were too much of a close circle or like a
yeah,
hatred circle, depending on what the season was. This is just like literally everyone's in their bikini and their swimsuit all the time. And like they're just
Getting
all
drunk.
living together, getting drunk, wanting to explore each other is really the
yeah.
vibe of the house.
Yeah, and I don't think that the Summer House cast had like was as close a friendship before the show started as
Right.
Vanderpump. Like, and so I think that probably plays into it as well.
And there's always newbies. So, you're
Yeah.
not like, oh, this is my long, long, long time friend. It's like, yeah, I've known Jesse for 3 years now, but maybe.
Right. Exactly. Which is why I think it's a lot easier to bring in newbies every season on Summer House, which I
Hmm.
think helps the longevity of the show. So,
Yeah.
Well, then we get to the 4th of July party, which was a little different this year since they had a county fair themed, hosted by West. Now, we see a lot of themed parties on the show, Matt, over the years. And I feel like, especially, we have a lot coming up with like the elderly party, it seems
Hmm.
like. Maybe that's Kyle's birthday coming up this season. Do you like the costumes? I feel like this is, and Bravo in general, we see a lot. Like Salt Lake City, I feel like in particular, has a lot of costume parties. Like, what do you think about that? Are you a fan of the costume parties, or do you think that they maybe should scale it back a little bit?
I gotta say, why not? I mean, it's funny. One of the big topics of conversation in this episode was, oh, do you go out? Do you not go out? And that's like
Mhm.
always been the case for, or at least recent seasons of Summer House. It's like the group that goes out versus the group that doesn't. And like, am I forgetting? Like, how often do they ever show us them going out? I feel like they don't bring
Like
the
phone
cameras
footage,
out of the house.
usually.
Yeah, the cameras stay
Yeah.
in the house, and then when they come back, it's like, look at everybody stumbling back into the house with whoever they brought back with them. So when the main focus of the show is the summer house, you got to bring fun to the summer house,
Mhm.
and just by having like a party in the backyard every so often isn't really going to do that. So I think the themes are important. If nothing else, it's like on Survivor right now, everything looks the same, everything is the same, it's
True.
all 41, 42, 43, 44. So like, yeah, give me the 4th of July party, give me the old people party, like just give me something that I can, if a big moment happens here, it's like, oh yeah, Kyle punched Carl at the old people party, if that's when it happens.
Yeah.
That's
Molly, I
true.
remember, I think it was season 7, I want to say, where they had like a permit issues where they couldn't have big parties for like the first 3 quarters of the season or something. And I remember there was a feeling during that time where it was like, oh, this season's so sad and like
Hmm.
dark, and like bring back the fun. And so I do think that having these big parties, like, it does probably help the mood in the house.
Yeah, I think it was fun. I like this theme too, like with the animals there, like that made it fun, and seeing that, obviously, like all the outfits, I think is fun just to get people excited for something. Like it feels like a college frat party almost, where you're like
Yeah.
getting dressed up and people all like actually care about a theme. So I think I enjoyed the costumes.
Yeah. Well, while they are at this party, Bailey expresses some interest in Ben. West and Jesse both mention how much they like Levi. Molly, do you see any of these relationships growing into anything serious with the newbies here, or is there any other potential connecting that you might expect moving forward throughout the season?
Yeah, I don't know if I see it with Levi. Obviously, she just got out of a really long relationship that maybe she's able to let loose a little bit and have fun, but nothing serious for her. But for Bailey, obviously, she also started off with crying about her ex. So I don't know if I see anything super serious for her either throughout the summer. But I think that maybe she could hook up with one of other people in the show, like maybe her and West. I could see happening. Because West is just like he's down for a good time kind of vibe.
Hmm.
So I think
First
that
time
could
in a long
happen.
time, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think that could happen this summer, but I don't know if anyone serious will come out of it.
I wonder if Ben's bachelor experience will come into play here, where he kind of like tries to go on dates with different girls and then picks the one that he wants to potentially explore further. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know,
we'll
but I thought,
see.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say Ben also mentioned he was like, "Don't watch the season of Bachelor," so
Yeah,
maybe he was more of an asshole than is what he kind of portrayed it to be. But
maybe.
I don't know what he was like. Obviously, we didn't watch it. But how long? Do you know how long ago he was the
It
Bachelor? Was
was
it like?
recent. I did look this
Oh,
up. I think it was like 2 years ago or something.
Oh.
So it was
okay.
very recent.
So
Yeah.
he probably hasn't matured that much in the 2 years.
No, no, I don't think anyone who's matured that much is going to be ending up on Summer House here.
True.
But, Matt, I thought there was a funny moment where they were in bed, and I think Sierra asked, like, "There's a bunch of new girls. Like, why are you in our room?" And then he was like, "Well, they're crying. They're
Yeah.
together." So I wonder if, like, I feel like West and Jesse they're wanting to something fun. I feel like they're not probably wanting to. Jesse's especially, I don't think, gonna want to go into anything too deep after what he experienced last season with Lexi.
That, and I think that, like, you show up in a house like this and you don't know these people very well. Like, before they became super connected with the rest of the cast, it was like, oh, let's show up, let's party, let's have fun, let's hook up. But like now they formed like legitimate friendships with the OGs. However OG these people still are. Obviously the longest tenured people on the show, and just this group that's become a family over the years. They just want to hang out at this point. So I thought that was a really endearing scene of Jesse and West in the room. They're like, no, we just want to hang out with you guys. It's our summer. We're hanging out together. We'll get to those girls later if we decide. Obviously, they were joking about the crying, but I was just like, oh no, like they all love each other so much. I love when a group actually does feel bonded. Now, of course, I want some drama too, but I don't know. It was cute.
I've always felt that way with the Summer House cast. Like they're one of my favorites because I feel like I just want to be friends with them. Where I don't feel that way about like most other Bravo casts. I'm like, I want to stay as far away. Like I'll get a picture with them or whatever. But like
Yeah,
I wouldn't actually want to be friends with most of them. Where at Summer House, I'm like, yeah, they just seem fun. Like they seem
yeah.
like a
There's
good, solid
usually
group
good
of friends.
vibes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, then we get to our first Lindsay appearance of the season virtually because Amanda and Sierra call Lindsay, who's been absent this weekend, as we mentioned. She is at home with her new daughter Gemma. Matt, did you feel Lindsay's absence during this episode, or was it until this moment where we're like, oh, wait, Lindsay's not here?
It's so strange, right? Because I feel like for the past two seasons, I'm like, Lindsay's not a cast member on the show anymore. I'm like, she's just not actually there. The fact that she's not titled friend of is obviously because she's an OG, and she wouldn't do it if she was a friend of, I think. But like she essentially is. Like whenever she pops into the season, I feel like is going to be for maybe she stops by for 1, 2, 3 weekends out of the time that they're out there filming. So I'm happy to see her because it's still an OG cast member, and it's Lindsay Hubbard. Like, come on, it's like the person in my opinion, I think the biggest star of the show. But her priorities have shifted, and she has made it clear that she'll still do the show as long as she, I guess, wants to, or I guess they'll have her. I don't know. Obviously, that could change, but she's made it sound like she's not going anywhere. It's just like very clear that she can't do it every single week and be there all the time. She's not even can't. I don't know if she wants to. She wants to be at home with this beautiful little child that she's like, having the best time raising. As Amanda and Sierra were talking about, they were like, this little thing just changed her life in like the best way possible. So you can tell that even through a phone screen. I am excited to see her in person whenever she shows up, though.
Yeah, Molly, I wonder if we're gonna mostly just be seeing her in the city. I mean, no pun intended.
Hmm.
But as we go in between weekends, I wonder if we're gonna spend a little bit more time there in the city, and be that way we can get to see Lindsay. Like I watched the first like 7-minute preview of next episode, and it's all just like that's where we first see Lindsay in person, is a scene of Sierra and Amanda. So I do wonder how often she's actually going to be there on the weekends and how much we're just going to see her in between the weekends.
Yeah, I don't see her being there that much in the Hampton, just because of obviously raising her daughter won't really be suitable in that kind of environment. So she'd have to leave her behind probably. But I think like it makes sense to just have her be shown like in the city. But then it's interesting that she still has like a main cast member and not just a friend of, because she's not really there. Like I also agree with you, Matt. With like I'm like where is Lindsay? Like she's not even on the show. Like even though she is, but like
Mm-hmm.
she's barely there.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
will say though, it's a good sign. I was missing Lindsay and Paige, like don't get me wrong, but I feel like once we got that scene, I was like, oh yeah, Lindsay isn't here. And I feel like it's a sign that it was a good episode up until that point, and there was enough going on that it wasn't just this whole episode and me feeling like, oh, where's Lindsay? I wish Lindsay was here for this. Like she would be bringing something. So I wonder throughout as we get going into the season whether that will continue or not. But
And I do chalk that up to like Jesse and West, as I've said
yeah.
a dozen times already, like being really good additions to the cast. Because while we have now lost, Paige, and before, I mean, Danielle wasn't like the most exciting cast member ever to me, but like was a main cast member that's no longer a
Sure.
main cast member. Lindsay's, out of the picture now, and she's not, but she feels like she's out of the picture. But like as the seasons go on, if this show continues to be made and we do lose anybody else, we're going to really start to notice it in a bigger way, I think. So
Yeah.
For sure. Well, then we get to the cliffhanger of the episode, as you mentioned earlier, Matt, that some of the group jump in the pool, and Amanda gets in wearing only her flesh colored bra and panties, I guess it is, that she
Mhm.
was wearing. She was not fully nude, but I think Kyle thought she was originally, but he does get very, very upset about this. And Molly, what did you think of Kyle's reaction here?
Well, I think it's stemming from a lot of other issues that they're having. So I think from us as a viewer, like be like, okay, that's overreaction there, but maybe not from his perspective because he's like, oh, like Amanda just wants to let loose now, and like, does she even want to be with me? And like, it's all causing those thoughts in his head, and then obviously that's gonna make him upset and want to then project that out and say like, why are you doing this? But I don't know. Like Amanda didn't do anything wrong. Like she was wearing bra. It's still she's covered. But it just like as the like it's definitely not what she would typically do. Like and I think that's what Kyle is upset about. Of like okay, like there's been a shift in her like overall feelings towards me probably like or towards Kyle that he's like okay is she just not caring anymore and like she just wants to have fun and like I don't know I think that's really what is going to cause like more of their fights and that like they're just not really compatible with each other at this point and Amanda is just like all right I'm done with this.
Matt, this just hit me, but do you think that Kyle reacted so much because of, or in part, because we heard the story of Lindsay and Ben skinny dipping at the wedding earlier, and I wonder if because he was there and they already had that past, like, do you think that this in particular made him feel a certain type of way because that had already happened before?
I guess it's possible. I mean, it certainly was top of mind. That it's like, oh, and then you heard like Jesse being like, I haven't even seen Amanda's boobs yet. Like, how'd you get to
Yeah.
see him? So like maybe a little bit in the back of his mind was like, hey, back off. Like nobody else gets to see that, except for me. But it is very silly of Kyle to say this and act this way when like, I think the number one thing I saw immediately was everyone being like, Kyle, there are 1,000 screenshots of your ass on the internet. Like
Yeah.
it's every season, 3 times a season that you're taking your pants off running around, whether it's outside, streaking in some way at your big age, but go off, or if it's just like getting into bed and the camera's always on him as he gets into bed naked. So it's like I don't know. I mean, I don't know how he can really justify this being different of like okay we go on the show we get silly and sometimes clothes come off and just because Amanda's never done it before it means that the first time that she does it it's got to be this really 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 big deal so yeah that was like uh, a lot of insecurity coming out from him and it was not a good look.
No. I think that it probably in Kyle's mind was just the last straw on a whole weekend where he felt like she was just ignoring him and was understandably, as we've talked about all the reasons why she's been this way, but has they've been getting into fights like in front of everybody. There's been lots of like passive aggressive comments. So I feel like even he was talking to the cameras like earlier in the episode and being like, it's like I don't exist. She's like,
Yeah.
so I guess it was probably just like it really wasn't that moment, but it was just kind of that was the last straw.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, then we end the episode there, but to backtrack a bit, during the episode, we got our first official promo for In the City, which is the spinoff that will feature Lindsay, Kyle, and Amanda, among others. I believe Andrea and Lexi are supposed to be a part of this as well, and then a bunch of newbies that are their friends from before, and it's kind of focuses more on city life and their relationships and less about the partying and single life, very similar to the Valley Persian style, all of that. Matt, are you excited about this? What are you hoping to see on this show?
Yeah, I really couldn't be more excited. I think that this is exactly what the show needs. I don't know. I don't know if it's like I need to see Paige on there, but I think that if she ever came back to the franchise, that would be where she would go. If Sierra ever decides that she's good on Summer House, then somewhere that she could go. It seems like she spends a lot of time in the city, so I think it's necessary to keep these people on TV for years to come, because the Summer House situation is not going to work forever. And even if Kyle and Amanda are split going into a season 2 of In the City, then we're going to follow both of their lives. And it seems like for the business decision of it all for them, that they will need to be on a good page so that they can keep filming and making money in the way that they do best by being on TV. But it'll be interesting to see because, as I think we've said, this season for sure, and we don't think In the City is really filmed from the perspective of their split at all. So they will want to put that on a future season. And if they're both willing to film for it, then we're going to get a really interesting season 2 of that show, assuming season 1 goes well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure.
I am
Yeah.
too. Yeah, Molly, I'm curious though to figure out like, let's assume this is successful. Then season 2, how many people leave Summer House? How many people go there full time? How many are maybe on both to some degree? Where do you feel like you see this going in the future?
Yeah, that's what's interesting because I don't want it to be just like everyone in Summer House wants to go to in the city and then then the cast is all gone. So I hope that that's a good like slow transition, I guess you could say. Like maybe one each season could be added, but not like four at a time kind of thing. But that people could be like friend of and they could be on both maybe. So I think then that could be a good mix there. But I'll have to see how it all plays out because it's definitely gonna be interesting how they navigate that.
Yeah, like I can see Lindsay being the first one to be full time in the city, not at all on Summer House. That just makes sense with her
Yeah.
kid. I think that is she's the obvious one there. But like I have a hard time seeing Summer House without Kyle and Amanda just because like they've been on every spinoff, every Winter House. They're the only ones that are consistent there every season. But I do feel like I could see a world where they're the only ones on both for season 2 and then as the new cast like they kind of feel like okay we got our newbies on Summer House who make sense to be staying there and we get to have 2 or 3 seasons with them and feel comfortable with them, then I can see them transitioning Kyle and Amanda full time. And then I don't know where Carl goes. He's not
He
in a
doesn't need to be
relationship.
anywhere. It's
Yeah.
just nothing's happening there.
Yeah.
Um,
So, but
Maybe
yeah.
like keep Kyle on Summer House. Let Carl, I don't know if he needs to stay somewhere, stay on Summer House too. But let Lindsay stay in the city. Let Amanda stay in the city. Let's get maybe Paige comes back. And feel free to move Sierra as well. And let's just get the girls in the city and
Yeah.
let's make the Real Housewives of Summer House uh, in the city.
I
I'll
mean,
watch
that's
that.
kind of what we asked for when Roni was being rebooted before we got that cast. I think we were all like, just put the Summer House girls in there.
Yeah.
They'd be so perfect for it. And so now we're
Yeah.
kind of getting that to some degree. So yeah,
But they
I'm
may not
excited
fight
for
as much as they would hope they would want out of a cast like
it.
that. So if there's no fighting, I mean, I'm sure they could get
Yeah.
some, but I don't know, might be tough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, I think that about covers it, unless y'all have anything else that you wanted to bring up, Summer House wise. But otherwise, Matt, we have to get to our new, I guess, short segment that we have implemented in 2026. So last year we held our first Chatty Awards ceremony where we honored our favorite reality stars and shows from the year. And this year, we are adding a guest's choice nomination where we will have every guest that we have on the podcast throughout 2026 give us a nominee for their favorite reality star that you've seen throughout this year. I know it's only February 8th, so it's going to be not a large selection to choose from, but from any show that you've watched this year, who would you like to nominate as for the Guest Choice Award?
Just to be anywhere in the mix is the favorite of the year is the
Any whatever, yeah,
Any
whatever
show.
you want to use as your qualifiers for who you pick.
well, I mean, I guess I am torn because if I have to pick one person that's been, I've been so happy to see on TV and I have to choose between Maura Higgins and Natalie Anderson. I guess I will do that. If I can only pick one, I'll have to pick Maura, just because I don't know how often Maura is going to be back as a contestant on these shows, where I feel like Natalie, hopefully will continue to be a contestant on shows because that's her thing. So I'll throw Maura's name out there if that's allowed.
Yeah.
It definitely is. I love it. God, I wish I could say that she was our third nomination, but he's our second. So unfortunately, I can't say that
Close
because I
enough.
forgot to ask our first guest for it. So, all right. Well, thank you, Matt, so much
Of
for
course.
joining us today. This was very fun. Where can our listeners find you? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, Free Agents podcast. Definitely a lot of stuff going on over there between the traders, as just mentioned. And we're rewatching all the old seasons of the challenge. So that's the big things happening right now. House of Villains is right around the corner. So that should be fun. And then on the diary room, we are again at the end of the first round. By the end of this month, I believe the round will have completed for the most part. I believe, if my schedule is correct in my head. And then we'll be getting to round two. Just keep on whittling down the group of Big Brother players. It's a very big group trying to find the best Big Brother player of all time. So it's been a lot of fun. And that's where you can find me, the Diary Room or Free Agents.
God, I
And
can't
thank you guys
believe
for having
round
me.
one's over. That's just so wild to me. It feels like for so
It
long
is.
that's been such a distant thought that round one
Mm-hmm.
would end. But yeah, it's crazy. We are getting right up to the
It's
round two there.
insane.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening or watching on YouTube. We will be back next week, so be sure to follow us at Let's Chat Reality. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we will chat with y'all later. Bye, everyone.
Bye.